Get ready for the world's greatest Arsenal podcast. Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. My name is Fergus, I am your host. Today I am joined by old man Trev as always, Albert from Albert J TV, and later on in the show I'm hoping to have Scunny Mike with us. We are going to talk about what a weekend for Arsenal. Tottenham, they get battered everywhere they go. Man United, they get battered, salted, everything else, assaulted by Liverpool everywhere. But more than that, we're going to concentrate on the Arsenal and we're going to concentrate on the Villa game and look ahead to Tuesday night's game in the Carabao Cup against Leeds. Albert, how are you?
I'm good. Welcome back. It's good to be back, man. Last time I was here was, I think, we lost to Brentford, first game of the season. Long time now, isn't it?
Jesus. Well, we had to break that. We had to break that for you. So, we had to bring you back on positive news.
Yeah,
good.
Negative. Yeah. Good to be back. Good to be back, boys.
And how have you been enjoying the season so far, then?
You know what? It's this season in Premier League, generally speaking, apart from probably City and Liverpool, you're not going to get too many teams winning a handful of games in a row. It's going to be that kind of season.
Yeah, to be honest, as we said before, I think the loss against City and Chelsea were you probably could take an account for. The Brentford one hurt, I think. So
Trev, that hurt. Yeah,
Trev, it feels like nearly 48 hours since I saw you.
Yeah, at least, yeah. It must be, yeah. It's been a decent weekend now, hasn't it, mate? And, mate, it's not the Carabao Cup, it's the Carabao Cup.
Carabao Cup, yeah, that's
Carabao
it.
Cup.
I'm Irish. I can call it what I want. Carabao, tomato, potato. Does it matter?
I think it's still the Rumblers Cup. It's Rumblers Cup still, isn't it? I'm not sure. Has it changed yet?
The Milk Cup, mate. The Milk Cup. Oh, yeah.
I love it when we have someone.
Don't pay any more, Mrs. Moore. That's the advert.
Listen, it's been a good weekend, isn't it? And a brilliant performance on Friday. Amazing. Better than the performance against Tottenham, in my view. I thought that we just surpassed it. But still, for me, a little bit baffling, a little bit confusing, because why couldn't we do it on Monday against Palace, who probably aren't quite as strong a side as Villa, you know? So, and we mentioned on the podcast last week, Fergus, didn't we? I know you weren't here, Albert, but we said that we knew that the team that played on Monday was capable of much better football, you know, and we just hoped they'd turn up on Friday, and they didn't let us down, did they? You know, and maybe, maybe, we've got to give Arteta a bit of credit for that, eh? Who knows?
And you hark back to that Tottenham game and the performance by the fans was excellent on Friday night. I think 2-for-1 beers and just a Friday night atmosphere. But you know what? We should hark back to that game against Tottenham. Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Because the audio you're hearing is from inside the North Bank that night. And the song rung out around the Emirates and on Friday night. On every night it seems to ring out. And it rang around Upton Park or the London Stadium or whatever you want to call it as well today. Listen, one thing I did want to say to people first and foremost before we start getting into it, we do this. We don't do it for likes, for followers, for money. We do it because we like doing this and we like having the chat with friends of the show like Albert and Lee and Dan and Scunny when he comes joins and all the other people. But I got a notification on my email today. 15,000 views on Guns and Yellow Ribbons. Thank you very, very much for all our friends who join us here. Thank you. We do appreciate it. And, you know, some of the comments by people put in the chat and send us messages saying they enjoy the show. Just keep enjoying it. Don't worry about liking, clicking, whatever. If you want to do that, do that. But that's not what we're about. We're about sitting here chatting and talking Arsenal.
Well, Fergus, I'm going to step in. And actually, people do like it and share it, please. do that. Come on. No, well done, Fergus, mate. Brilliant.
Right, listen. Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 3. What a game! What a performance! Albert, as a guest, I'll come to you first of all. That performance, you can wait, old man. Actually, we should go to him really first.
Yeah, go to Trev. I want to hear what Trev's got to say.
Hang on. Let's add this fella in first. He's got a hat on. It's cold up north. Scotty, welcome to the show.
Cold up north,
Living champions.
We literally just joined him when we're starting about the Arsenal Villa game. So, Albert, go to you first. Potsy put his fan cam up on one of the channels, and he made a comment which we had said already in some of the chat groups. That performance that we saw against Villa, was it better than the Spurs performance? Because with the Spurs performance, we did only perform well over the whole game, but outstanding performance for about 20, 30 minutes. Where in this game, I thought we performed for 70, 80, 85 minutes. What was your thoughts of just a rounded performance? And we'll go into the detail of the game there afterwards.
Yeah, 100% is better than the Tottenham performance. It's not even questionable. Because with the North London derby, because we was 3-0 up at half time, when you're 3-0 up, the emphasis is not to go and get 4, 5, and 6. So undoubtedly the foot off the gas is going to happen. But the all-round better performance against Aston Villa, and I've got to be honest, Fergus, I was concerned going into that game. I was very, very concerned. I know Villa came off the back of a bruising Derby Day defeat against Wolves. I still can't believe they lost that game, but they still got some good players, Fergus. They've got some very, very good players that could hurt Arsenal. But I was surprised because how we played, going off the back of that dreadful performance against Palace. I see, Fergus, you kind of put the question out there. How can you perform like that at home and then perform the way they did 4 days later? It just, you struggle to understand how that's possible. Yes, there were a couple of changes, but the drop off, the difference shouldn't have been that much. I mean, it's crazy. Probably arguably against the better team, but no, Arsenal definitely best performance of the season, man, 100%.
I'd agree that I would have viewed Villa a stronger and harder opposition than Palace. Trev, some changes in that lineup. So we had no KT. Pepe was dropped. Odegaard was benched. How did you, when you saw the lineups, what did you think? Were you pleased with that? Were you worried that there was no KT, that we had Tavares in that position?
Well, I've got to agree with Albert. First off, before the game, I was a little concerned, thinking if we play like we did on Monday, if we play like we did for the last 60, 70 minutes of the game on Monday, Villa would beat us. And I was concerned about that. And when I saw the changes, we've got to be honest with ourselves, right? Pepe hasn't been a shining light consistently, right? Odegaard, the jury's still out on Odegaard. So I can understand the changes. Tierney was injured. But I knew for a fact, I've been singing these praises for ages, that Tavares would come in and wouldn't let us down. I was certain of that. So, yeah, when I saw the team, I thought, okay, and he's trying Aubameyang and Lacazette up front together again. We tried it before, was it a season or two ago, and it didn't seem to work. But at that time, we didn't have Saka, Smith Rowe, and Partey and Tomiyasu bombing up behind Laka and Alba. So I thought it worked really well. I thought that Laka was the hold-up pain in the arse man that I've been crying out for weeks. He played that role very nicely. And it showed our performance was just, first half was just breathtaking. I couldn't take my eyes off it. The movement, the energy from all 11 players, the energy was astonishing. It was a superb, best first half I've seen probably in 2 seasons, at least. Wonderful.
Scotty, best first half Trevor's seen in 2 seasons. I would say overall, and I know we haven't got into even the detail, but just the lineups, I would say that's the best performance I've seen an Arsenal team play under the management of Mikel Arteta.
Yeah, it's taken this long, which is more worrying.
Smile, Michael. Smile. We're all happy.
I'm happy, but I have got some concerns as well. You know me, I take every game as it comes, and I have got some concerns. I don't want to go too far into anything because I don't know how far Fergus has got, with everything. Because I was a bit late onto the show through tech issues.
We just started.
Yeah, I have got some slight concerns, like everyone else has, about looking at the Villa game and then looking at the Palace game 4 games later. It's good to see that we was playing well, but I don't, for me personally, I don't know if that was down to seeing Villa being very poor. This is the concerns I've got at the moment. I'm not taking anything away from the performance from Arsenal. I thought it was great, but as a fan, and we're sat here saying that it was a great performance and everything else, and we're comparing it to the Spurs game, and it's like, well, for me, it's like, yeah, okay, you're comparing it to the Spurs game, and I often say, derby games go out the window for me, performance and everything else, because it's a derby game. But it's just one of them things. I'm not overly sure. Was that a good performance by us, or was that a poor show from Villa?
Mike, that was a fantastic performance by us. You look at some of the stats and so on. You look at Smith Rowe's performance. You look at Tommy Asu's performance. You look at a lot of Lacazette.
But these players have been performing.
Hang on, 2 seconds, Mike. I will give you come back, but. Lacazette ran himself off the pitch. He come off with cramp. Okay, he hasn't played a lot of games, but he ran himself off the bloody pitch. Aubameyang performed against Palace, in and out. He performed against Tottenham. He disappeared against I think it was Brighton, but he is getting back to some form. The team gradually are getting somewhere from being absolutely nowhere. You've got to see some positives.
Yeah, I do. I'm not, like I said, I'm not taking anything away from the performance, but what I'm saying is obviously seeing the game 4 games earlier, against Crystal Palace, and watching us against Brighton and stuff. I often think to ourselves, when teams put us, basically when our backs are against the wall, we struggle massively. We struggle moving forward. We struggle getting it out from the back. The midfield collapses. Obviously, yeah, he was tinkering against Palace with Martin Ødegaard in the midfield, which it didn't work completely against Palace. But bringing Sambi Lokonga on this game, yeah, it worked. But we all knew that would probably work with Lokonga. Give Partey a bit more free space to do what he does, and you saw what Partey can do. I think that was probably his best performance, if not, for us in an Arsenal shirt. I'm not taking it away from anyone. What I'm saying is, I'm just saying I'm looking at the bigger picture in that sort of sense. Is it a good performance by Arsenal? Which, yes, it was in some respects, but we've also got to look at how poor Villa was. It's similar to how Spurs were. They left open spaces. We could get through the lines easy at Spurs.
Mike, without making a two-way conversation between me and you, because there are 2 other people in the room as well, but I do agree that it was one of Partey's best performances. Other people mentioned Newcastle and some other games that he and Man United last season, but I thought personally it was the best performance I saw of him. Andy Fink makes a great comment. Consistency, that's what we need. Albert, consistency, we do need some consistency, and Mike has got some really valid points in the sense that the performances against some of the sides like Brighton conditions, we both teams play in those conditions, and the Palace game weren't great, but the Burnley game, although it was a 1-0 win, we dug in, and Mike was at that game as well, and it was a good performance. We'd normally get bullied off the pitch for those sort of games. So do you take positives out of this?
Yeah, I do. I think I get what Mike's saying, because it's a weird one, because even in the comments I'm seeing, Trevs, in terms of we've fallen for this trap before and we don't get carried away, but I can't speak for every Arsenal fan. Some will get carried away, as they did against Tottenham. Some will know that you can take the Tottenham game in isolation, which I think a lot of Arsenal fans probably did. Some got carried away, obviously. Yeah. But it's a tricky one, Fergus, because I know people talk about, youngest squad in the Premier League and, buying the 5 players, 25, 23 and under, or however old the age gap is. But even Arteta said it himself in terms of, yes, we've got a young team, but we can't hide behind that, because at the end of the day, we need to win football matches. I would give us a little bit more credit in terms of the Villa game, just for the pure and simple fact that we were so awful against Crystal Palace. Listen, I don't know what he says to the players at halftime or what the instructions are, but something clicked against Villa. Like I said, I'll give it more credit because it was a more complete performance. And I did mention at the time that I think the most critical thing in the Villa game for me was the VAR decision. Because yes, you're going happy at 1-0 at half time, but to get the buffer of the second goal, Villa were always going to come out sharp in the second half. That was always going to happen.
I think all teams do, especially away from home. I think the Palace done the same against us. And if you watch the West Ham Tottenham game today, West Ham winning at half time, Tottenham came out a stronger side and thankfully lost, but they come out a stronger side in the second half, and I think that's par for the course. Looking at some of the positives of the game, though, Partey scored an opener from a header, set pieces. You know, he's been trying for 2 or 3 games, Trev, to you know, the crowd have been shouting shoot, and you know, he has, bar the game on Monday where he wasn't. I don't think tactically we were set up right on Monday, but I think he's been improving and an outstanding game, and to get a goal to cap it off. What do you reckon, Trev?
Ramsdale, Tavares, White, Tomiyasu, Lokonga, 5 starters on Monday. All have made single-figure appearances for the Arsenal. All have just come into the side, right? Albert said he doesn't, you know, he mentioned it. Average age of the team under 23 years old, right? Playing in the best league in the world with an inexperienced manager who all of us had doubts about. I'm not worried about inconsistency. I couldn't give 2 hoots about inconsistency. I'm going to take every bit of glory out of it I can this year. Every bit of glory I can, because we ain't going to be brilliant every week. You know, with that team, with them people, with their lack of appearances, we're gonna have nights like Crystal Palace where we're all frustrated, where we all know we're better. But I ain't going to come on here and be down about the Arsenal because we've drawn a game. You've also got to remember we ain't lost 1 in 7. All right, we've got some tests and examinations coming up. But if you can't come and have a smile about how it's going, unbeaten in 7 with this young side, what are you doing? What are you doing? We just played
you know what?
Aston Villa, right, who are a top 6 team or a top 7, 8 team in everyone's book, with the England centre half playing, and this bloke Ings up front who they're all raging about, and they've had Ings in their pocket. Mings has had to resort to being a twat to keep them in the game, and they said they've got the best. They keep ranting on about having the best goalkeeper in the league that they've nicked off of us. He ain't fit enough to lace Ramsdale's boots. So don't get me down about it. I'm over the moon about it. I'm over the moon. I can't wait for the next game at Leicester because it's going to be a difficult game. But if the team that played against Villa turns up, we're home and dry. As a matter of fact, we might. If the team that turned up against Villa for the first 70 minutes of the game, up until we put the subs on, turns up at Leicester, we won't just win. We'll win easily. But then again, it's just as likely the team that played against Palace could turn up because we're young and we're inexperienced. We've got 5 players that haven't even played a dozen games for the first team. You know, so of course we're going to be inconsistent. Of course we are. But I'm loving it. I'm loving what I'm seeing. When we're good, we're really, really good. And when we're bad, we're nicking a draw. What's there to not like?
Mike?
I never said I didn't like it. I'm just saying what I saw. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not slagging anyone off. I'm not slagging any of the players off or anything like that. I'm just saying about the performance. You know, at the end of the day, I'm not going to. You know, everyone knows me by now. I've been on many podcasts and said what I've had to say and everything else. You know what I mean? I'm not going to jerk anyone's chain if I feel like say what I see. You know, it's the way it is. You know, I'm not, like I say, I'm not slagging anyone off. I'm not saying Arteta out. I've never said that.
No.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying this person, that person. I'm just saying what I saw on the day. You know, and this is
now
it. I never said I wasn't happy.
As well.
What?
Now I've got a fly in my tea as well.
Well, that's your problem. Bit of protein never hurt anyone.
Why didn't that fly die?
Like I said, you know, you know, I'm basing it on what I saw and how I felt about it. I'm not saying anything about anything else. You know, I'm not here sitting slagging off the team or anything. That's not what I'm not doing. What I'm saying is basically, like I said, saying what I saw on the day and how I thought the performance were. I'm basing it off 2 performances, against Crystal Palace, and I'm basing it off the Villa game, and I'm basing it, in what I've seen beforehand.
I don't think you can base it on 2 performances. In reality, you need to base it on 9 performances. The 9 performances in the league put us on level points with Man United, and put us on 11, just outside the top 4.
Let me just cut in quick. Me and you got a lot of stick from a couple of people about what we said about the Brighton game. I was well for that. I thought it was a well hard fought draw, and I'll stand by what I said about that Brighton game. Me and you took a lot of stick from that. And, and I never faltered on that one. And I never said anything differently about that game. And, just, in the sense of just because what I saw in front of me, what I saw at Villa, I was saying about Villa had a lot of open holes. They had gaping holes in the defence. I thought the defence played poorly at Villa. The Villa defence was poor. I thought their midfield was poor. But I'm not taking away anything from the performance of Arsenal. I said that at the start. I'm just basing it on what we said at the what I saw.
Scunny, listen, do you know why they look poor? Do you know why they look poor, son? Because our team was full of energy and ripping them a new one. That's why they look poor, mate.
The energy poor from the start. Trev, in fairness, they did look poor from the start. But again, I'm not taking anything away from the Arsenal performance. I'm not saying that. At the end of the day, we should be, if their team's turning up and absolutely playing absolute crap, we should be there going there and dominating. We should be absolutely smashing them to pieces. Because if they're not turning up, that's up to the Arsenal to go there and destroy them, which is basically what we did.
Right. I'm going right up into the tangent. I'm going right up into the tangent, Mike. You know what I'm saying? They did turn up, but we were that much better. The scene that the bombing up and down the line, we just pulled them all over the field. And when we made the space, we were in behind them every time. We should have been 4 or 5 up before they scored their goal. We should have done.
Let's look at the game in a little bit more detail. So we looked at Partey's goal. There was a disallowed goal for Aubameyang. Albert, do you know what happened there? I haven't managed to find a replay of it. Apparently, it was a foul outside the box or something like that. I don't know. What was that all about, Albert?
You know what, Fergus? I'm still trying to work out why that goal was disallowed. Even where I was sitting, I couldn't really see, to be honest. But even when I got home and saw the replay, I still don't understand what it was given for. I generally don't. I still, to this day, I don't understand why it was disallowed. I still can't understand.
And the penalty and the VAR decision. So I've seen the penalty. I'll take it. Who wouldn't? I thought it was a little bit soft.
Yeah. You know what it is, Fergus? Lacker's very street smart. He's not the best at winning free kicks. I don't care what anyone tells me. He's not. But listen, people don't like it. They call it cheating. They call it gamesmanship. Lacker's probably the best at it. Hence the reason why he got the penalty. Because he put his foot in a position where Matt Target would have to go through him to get the ball. And that's how we got the penalty. Mm-hmm. Because, like I said, where I was sitting, I generally couldn't see if that was a penalty or not. But when I actually saw the replay...
At that moment in time, I was sitting in the bar. So, I was in the gents, but yeah.
But no, I can see why that was given. I can definitely see why that was given. But Fergus, yeah, in terms of sort of how... I think Arsenal set the tone really for that game in terms of the tempo and the aggression. And Dean Smith even said it after the game, physicality-wise, we kind of battered Villa. I thought the tone was set in the first couple of minutes with Gabriel's incident with Watkins, and I actually think that set the tone for the match in terms of the aggression, which I'm loving with Gabriel. By the way, I think with this Arsenal side, I don't know if you guys agree or not. There was a tendency for many years that we were soft and we could get bullied and we'd be out. The aggression we'd be out fought, but I think the likes of Aaron Ramsdale and Gabriel kind of give us that aggression and it set the tone for the start of the match personally. And I thought Gabriel was outstanding. I thought that was important, and Laka was brilliant in that sort of pocket of space and snapping at the players' heels and being really aggressive. And I think that set the tone for that first half especially.
And Trev, seeing the penalty, Aubameyang takes a shot. Martinez, who we'll talk about, and Martinez, mayonnaise, whatever it be. He saves the penalty and then scores the rebound. Really important that he gets that goal, I think, for his confidence and also to just mess with Martinez's head a little bit, don't you think?
Yeah. Of course it was. We deserved to be winning by more than one goal at half time, and we got very lucky, didn't it? Mr. Aubameyang got very lucky. The rebound off of Martinez went his way and he's put it in the net. But can you imagine? It would have been unbearable if he hadn't got that rebound. But once again, I'm agreeing with Albert. I have to agree with Albert because Lacazette, right? Let's be honest. Let's be really honest here, right? If Lacazette played for any other team, he would infuriate me. He would infuriate me if he played for the opposition, going down like he does. And I think the refs do watch him a bit, and that may be why Aubameyang's goal was chalked off because the foul was on Lacazette and the ref thought, no, I ain't having that. But then, of course, when he gives a penalty, he's got no choice because he's called over to the monitor and we all know what that means. But Aubameyang, I don't think Aubameyang's the best penalty taker, There's 2 or 3 now I've seen him put at that nice height for the keeper, and not quite in the corner. But he scores most of them. I think he scored 10 out of 12 now, so we can't complain. But God, that was lucky. So pleasing that rebound went in. Firstly, because we deserve to be more than 1-0 up. Secondly, because we need Aubameyang to get his confidence back, because I still think he's got a part to play in this team. And thirdly, because we went in for half time and Arteta's got a whole different outlook on what he does for the second half, hasn't he? With a 2-goal lead. So, yeah, very important, Fergus, that he slotted that goal in.
And into the second half, look, Villa improved and, they had a thoroughly wretched first half. But Smith Rowe, 11 minutes into that second half, he scores a goal. He gives it up to the North Bank. And you can see from this celebration here, he just clasped his chest, his badge, and the passion and the roar. He's 9 rows away from me right there, and I could hear him screaming. And the guy is an absolute diamond. He's was linked with Villa, funnily enough, before the start of the season and right through the transfer window. There was talks about him even before this game that people were saying he could go to Villa. But he's now stuff in the press saying he'd signed for life. Albert, what do you make of this guy? Look at some of these stats as well that we talk about. He had 66 touches, 17 in the final third, 4 chances, creating 4 touches in the opposition box. His stats were outstanding. He ran the show.
Yeah, he did. You know what? It's amazing with Emil Smith-Rowe actually, because when he played the other night against Palace and you see his performance against Villa, it was complete chalk and cheese. I think what people got to remember as well is, yes, he's young, so these youngsters, likes of him and Saka, and even you could chuck in Martinelli and Sambi into that, they're not going to perform every week. It's not easy. Like you're playing in probably arguably one of the hardest leagues in the world, so you're going to get yo-yo up and down performances. And there's a lot of emphasis on the likes of him and Saka because they're such a huge part of our offensive attack that if they don't click, we are in trouble, and that's even with Aubameyang playing, because they're going to be the supply line to him. But Emil Smith-Rowe was fantastic. He was from the outset. Him and Nuno Tavares in tandem gave Matty Cash an absolute nightmare. It actually we gave both their fullbacks a nightmare, which they struggled to push on. But one thing with ESR, and you could add Saka into that, is the most important thing is, like you say, Fergus, 4 chances created. That's a lot in a game of 90 minutes of football. Because if you put them chances away, more than likely, you're going to win a lot of football matches. You're going to win a hell of a lot of football matches. And he was excellent. And I think, as long as he can add more goals to his game, and when he gets into certain areas, it's about making the key decisions at the right time. Because I think when we played Palace, there was a still shot when he was going for a goal. And actually, the pass was, to be honest with me, you should have given it Pepe. Because either you got to score or you got to pass it. So with him, it's the key decision making. But for me, with him, it's not his technical ability. It's, we can see that. But for me, it's for him to add more goals to his game. And the third goal, is the kind of attacking football we want to see, which we're kind of starved as Arsenal fans, because we don't get to see it. Whether that comes, I think that potentially comes from the manager with the very rigid tactics he sets out. But yeah, a well-deserved goal. There was a lot of fantastic man of the match performances, which probably we'll touch on. But yeah, he was exceptional. The sky's the limit for him, and that England call up is coming soon, I think, personally. But
Southgate was in the stands, wasn't he? So
yeah, but I think with ESR, the thing is, listen, he's amazing talent, but he will have dips in performances. Fergus, it's a flaming hard league, man. Like it's he's not going to tear it up every week. It's a lot of pressure.
James was in the comments saying after Palace and Brighton he thought he should have been dropped, but he was glad he wasn't against Villa because he was outstanding. Another player that was outstanding, Mike, was Tomiyasu. What have you made of this guy? 9 games. Well, he had about 7 games for us, I think. And his stats, he said more ball recoveries 8 and more clearances 7 than any other Arsenal player against Villa. I think he settled in nicely, don't you?
Definitely. I've been quite an advocate for him, to be perfectly honestly. I think he's been a great buy, in fairness. I think it was a well scouted and well bought player. I think there's only one game I've seen him where I thought he was pretty poor, and I think that was the Brighton game. Every other game from that, and like Albert says,
I think it was the Palace game.
Week.
I think it was the Palace game was his weaker game, but overall, I think you're right. There is only one game that he was off colour.
Well, exactly. So, and he works really well. But can I just add on to Smith Rowe as well, quick? Like what Albert was saying on there as well. Listen to Albert, what he was saying about Smith Rowe. Do you think I think he should be on the wing because he plays a lot off that left-hand side. Even though he was meant to be sort of... Because the way I saw the formation on Monday was the 4-2-3-1, which we see quite a lot. Because you saw Lacazette drop into that number 10 role, and Saka and Smith Rowe off the wings. I think he should be playing there more often, and I think we should be playing Lacazette into that number 10 role as well. And it works for him, and it's working with him very well.
Was it the fact that Lacazette was the number 10 and the aggressive, and he connects so well with the young players?
Well, he holds it up well.
I've seen Smith Rowe out on the wing before, and we've gone, no, he should be dropped back into a 10, or he should be more in the centre and so on. Was it Lacazette the key on that one then, Scotty?
I don't know, because every time I've watched Smith Rowe, Lacazette was definitely a key in that against Villa, definitely, 100%. He was definitely a key in there, and this is what I was getting to. He's working well in that number 10. He's holding the ball up well. He's doing getting tactical free kicks, which he does, which we've mentioned. He doesn't get them all, but he gets them. So it does work really well. With ESR going on that left-hand side, I think when he's been in that position, there is better games that we've seen him play. When he's dropped into the middle in that number 10 role, which we saw against Palace, I think it was against Brighton as well. He hasn't been that great in them positions, and this is where James was saying, obviously not happy with ESR's performance, because I don't think he is that number 10 player. I honestly don't think he is that player. I think he's one of them ones who wants to be in space and running onto it, which we saw against Villa and we've seen against other teams as well. I can't remember what teams we were seeing him play off the wing, but when Ødegaard was at number 10, he was pushing ESR out onto the left-hand side, and it works. And this is where obviously what we're saying about Pepe as well. Pepe doesn't work in this team. So put Saka on that right-hand side. It works. Leave it there. Pepe don't work in this team.
To be honest, Saka works well also with Tierney on the left. They seem to have a good partnership.
Well, this is where I was going to say about Tavares as well. To be perfectly honest with you, is I think Tierney needs to be watching his back with Tavares, because I thought Tavares had a brilliant game, and he's made an advocate to be honest, look, you need to play me.
He came on against Spurs only for a brief interlude for I think it was 15-20 minutes at the end. His power, his pace, he's huge. To see him warming up in front of us, he's a big beast, and I think he's something to contend with. The only thing I have been told, Mike Gonçalves, who set this Guns and Yellow Ribbons up with myself, he follows Benfica as well as a Portuguese guy, and he was not complimentary of Tavares, and he said it was an awful signing. For me, Mike, you're totally wrong so far. Trev, what do you make of that talk about ESR going further out onto the wing rather than playing a number 10 role? He does seem to hug that line.
Yeah, no, I think Mike's exactly right, mate. I think he's exactly right. I think that the team looks a lot more balanced, and there was a lot more movement up that line with ESR playing out there. It sounds like we're picking on Pepe a bit, but on that performance, I don't think Pepe is good enough to get in this side. And then
Good.
Mike, lack of holding up the ball was what I've been crying out for weeks, and it showed a complete difference. We spoke the other night, didn't we, Fergus, about how we've got this goalkeeper now, Ramsdale, right? Who plays? He plays these amazing passes out from the back, right? And he hits it 30, 40, 50 yards to a player's feet and gets us immediately on the front foot. And then if the press is on and he can't do that, he hoofs it up the field. And Friday night, the difference was very, very obvious to see in that when he had to hoof it because of the press on Friday night, there was someone up the field, two people playing in the middle, Alba with Laka just behind, that were trying to collect the ball and stop it coming straight back. It made a massive, massive difference the other night, with the movements he made. And I'd love to see the same team play the next weekend, because I think it turned out to be a great formation to play. ESR, yeah, okay, he might make a 10 in future, but he's a kid, so stick him out wide. His energy up and down the line. And one of you guys now just mentioned as well, Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu looks a better player with Saka in front of him. That's undoubted. Tomiyasu is a good player anyway, but I just felt he looked more comfortable with Saka. So yeah, I can see what the boys are saying. Can't argue that point. I think that the team looked really, really well shaped against Villa. It looked like we were threats all over the field, not just left and right. We were a threat down the middle with Alba and Laka as well. So that's how we open things up, because if teams see you're strong on one side, they're going to close that side down. This is Premier League football we're talking about. These are clever players. They read a game. They know where the threats are. Right, so what you got to do is make it more than one threat, and with ESR and Saka outside, and Alba and Laka coming through the middle, being ably supported by, I thought Partey had a blinder, and Lokonga next to him could move the ball forward. And while I'm on about playing with the ball, what about White? Can he play well with the ball at his feet as well? We had a centre half like that with a ball at his feet.
I was going to touch on the goalkeeper and the defence. Okay, we conceded a goal, a 20-yard shot, a great shot. They put some good pressure on us, but it was a little too late for Villa. But the partnership that we're building with Ben White, who I thought had a great game, even against. Did Ings start? I don't know. Ollie Watkins, didn't even see him. They nullified them out of the game. And I know I've said, and many people have said on after earlier games, that he was struggling against big centre forwards. There seems to be that click, that partnership with the three, not even never mind the two, with Gabriel and Ben White and Aaron Ramsdale, and the physicality about them. They're very strong. They've got a strong bond, and they're really bloody aggressive. Albert, what do you make of that? Because I don't think fullbacks are fullbacks anymore, because they're more wingers, and your centre mid drops back to cover to make like a three. There seems to be an awful lot more flowing in formations these days. So your centre two and your keeper are the main core for your defence.
Yeah, I'm glad you came to with this. Actually, I've listened from the start of the season. I've kind of looked at. You know what, we as a team, the cornerstone of a good team, or the hallmark of a good team for me, starts from a solid foundation from the back. Arsenal last season just used to drive me mad because the changes of centre back, the changes of full back, you can put that down to the recruitment. Listen, we could be here all day, but one thing for me that I wanted to see from the start of the season is a consistent back five, including the goalkeeper. And we've actually, it's not just a case of the centre backs. We've got two solid full backs with obviously Tierney and Tomiyasu there. But I said it the other night, Fergus. I love Ben White and Gabriel. The partnership and the relationship that is developing. some of the defending the other night was first class. It was brilliant. Gabriel's a lot better on the ball than people give him credit for. Ben White is obviously comfortable on the ball anyway. The addition of Ramsdale has been key because he gives confidence to the two centre backs. And you know what, Fergus? Even if I just fast forward through the whole season, as long as we keep these guys in terms of continuity and keep them together as a five, the more they play together, the more the relationship building would be, the stronger they're going to get. Yes, there's going to be games where they're going to have nightmares. It's the Premier League. It's supposed to be difficult. But Gabriel, like I said, he set the tone the other night. Even Sky was at the game for the Burnley game. When Kieran Tierney went down, the first two players when Ashley Westwood went to try and cause a bit of mayhem was Gabriel and Ramsdale. We're seeing the kind of defending I saw the other night is what I've been crying out for years at Arsenal. And we actually have potentially a back five, not just two good centre backs and, the full backs fill in here and there. We've actually got the chance to build a team around this defense. We do. Just touching on Ben White before I finish is I thought he actually had a pretty decent pre-season, if I'm being honest with you. And I liked what I saw even before he came to Arsenal. I know some Arsenal fans, for whatever reason, have still kind of got it in them that they're not convinced or whatever. Why would you be convinced after 9 games? But then my argument to that is Ben White's not playing. He's not played in another league. He's been in the Premier League. You've seen him play. He's shown promise. Liverpool was interested in him last season. Other clubs were interested in him. We've got him, Fergus, and yet some of the fan base are still moaning. Yeah, I just don't understand it.
Albert, some of the fan base want this guy, Saliba.
Look,
where do you see Saliba?
I don't know what else you were going to expect.
Yeah, you know what?
True, Mike. True.
Yeah,
where does Saliba fit in now?
Yeah, but Mike. But I'm sorry, Mike. Fergus, you know what it is?
You and Mike discussed that one. Go on.
No, Mike. You know what it is? Like with the Saliba thing. Listen, I want him to come back. Obviously, like we're not going to play the same back five for the next 5 years, for 3 or 4 years. So there's going to be chopping and change. Whether we go from a flat back 4 to 3 at the back, it's more competition. It's not either or. Because Saliba will bring undoubted quality. Like I've lucky enough to see him like play a couple of games in at Marseille this season. He looked very, very accomplished. Very, very accomplished. He's done pretty decent. But for me, Fergus, it's more competition. It's not about whether Ben White's better than Saliba or Saliba's better than Ben White. Stop that kind of rubbish narrative.
I'm really good with that. With the comment you said there. Go on, Mike.
Go on, Mike.
I was just saying the competition's healthy in a football team. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, 100%.
If we didn't have competition, we'd end up with another Bellerin. Let's face it. He never had competition. True. Look how he turned out.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. We didn't have competition when there was Holding and Chambers. All we had was David Luiz, who was on his way out.
Mike, do you know what? Mike, do you know what?
It's
Mike,
the way it is. Competition's healthy. That's what it's all about.
Mike, you know what's funny? Like, this is what I don't understand. You guys might agree. Like, with our fan base, you guys know you're on social media, but it's like people.
Unfortunately,
like they say things like, "Oh, but is Ben White? Is he much of an upgrade than Rob Holding?" I'm like, what is it you're not seeing? It's a yes. Like, well, what's the debate? There's no debate there.
We've only lost 1 game with Ben White being in the defence.
Yeah.
And we just mentioned that quick. And that was the first game of the season. And then he was out with COVID or whatever. He had an illness or whatever. And then he came back.
Mike, you know what I think
slotted into the team with Gabriel. And we've not lost a game since. Like Trev was saying, we haven't lost a game in... how many was it, Trev? 7?
I think it's 7, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't lost a game in 7 games.
Do you know what it is?
Since Man City, and I was at Man City, and that was awful.
Yeah, do you know what it is? You know what I think it is? Yeah, you know what I think it is, Fergus? Sorry, before I finish. With the Ben White thing, for example, because it drives me mad. It's been going on for a while, to be honest with you. It's not his fault. He's English. He's a victim of being English, in my opinion, and the price tag. But you can't, and the fact he came from Brighton, that is the reason. I don't care what any Arsenal fan tells me. It's a snobbery that's set in. That's what it comes down to. Because if he went to Liverpool, for example, and absolutely ripped it up, Arsenal fans would be tearing shreds off each other. Oh, we should have got him. It's poor recruitment. Why did we overlook him? We've got him. Enjoy him. He's 23. He's going to make mistakes. What's the problem?
Trev?
Yeah, the boys are right. There's not Ben White is a class act and Gabriel's a class act, and they're making a fine pairing at centre half, a fine developing pairing at centre half, who are only going to get better. They're not like Chelsea rejects at 32, 33, 34 years of age. They're young men that have been brought in to develop. And so I can't see any reason why anybody should want any different. As for Saliba, I hope he comes back next season, and I hope he's an absolute superstar of a centre half. Absolute superstar of a centre half. I genuinely do. But we don't know what he's going to do yet when he comes in the Premier League. So let's be happy with what we've got. Let's hope that Saliba comes in, because what we've got behind, as I think Albert and Mike just said, what we've got behind White and Gabriel isn't top class, and that's not being detrimental to them people. They're not top class. So we've got to hope that Saliba comes. Turns out to be as good as White and Gabriel, and then we've got three that we can play there, which is what a good team needs. At least three. You know, we had good teams that had Bold, Adams, Keown, and O'Leary, 4 centre halves, and they never all got a game, but they were all required at key parts of the season. You know,
and Trev, if we're to be in 4 cup competitions, hopefully European football next season and everything else, you do need that strength and depth in your squad, because at the moment it's great. Okay, the League Cup, your European tour, which is mostly in London, the League Cup aside, and then we got the FA Cup in January. We're playing one game a week at the minute, so we can allow for having lack of strength and depth, and it was clear to see on Monday night that the starting 11 in the main, excluding Pepe, in my view, but it's clear to say that hang on, it was clear to see.
Where's Michael?
Oh, hang on 1 second. No. Sorry, I saw something in the private chat, Mike. Sorry, no, I saw something in the private chat.
What did I do? You kicking me out for no reason. What's all that for?
I didn't. It was Albert. Albert said he wanted to come in. Come on, Albert.
Yeah, just very quickly.
I don't read the private chat much.
So I just did a comment about what's on about Ben White.
Sorry,
Victor being English. What I mean is, with a lot of English players, they're overhyped. They cost too much. If he had a different surname, there wouldn't be that much pressure on him. That's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. Because he's English, he must be overrated. Yeah.
No, but we've talked about this before. But before we went on the video, Max from Arspros and Mike, you'll remember this. He always called it an English tax. Any player that you're looking at, if they're homegrown and they qualify in that category, it's a 25% surcharge on them straight away. So it does. Victim maybe wasn't the right use of a word, but there is a disadvantage being an English player if you want to get signed. Yeah. So, Trev, when's the last time you heard Arsenal physically outplaying the opposition?
Well, yeah, it hasn't been for a while, Fergus. I mean, you know my thoughts on Wenger towards the end of his career. I loved Arsene Wenger when he was winning, but he stayed too long. And I think we became a bit of an experiment towards the end of Arsene's career. And he just signed small players. I mean, we had centre halves at 5'10", you know, and we were getting bullied off the park game after game because we didn't have a plan B. So, and then of course Emery tried to come in and change it, and it didn't work out for Emery, although he has my sympathy. And I think Arteta, if he's done nothing else, he has bulked us up at the back and in midfield, exactly where we need to be. We've got big players there now. We've got strong players. Albert nailed it when he said, you don't mess with Gabriel or Ramsdale. Not in years gone by previously, just recently, players would kick out players off the field because they knew nothing was coming back. But they won't do that now. Not a chance will they do that now because Gabriel and Ramsdale and the other lads are not going to let them get away with it. So I'm very happy with where we are from that perspective. I'm not scared of going on a field and thinking we're going to get just played off the park by people, not skillful people, just bullies. You know, was it last season? Or it must have been the season before. We went to places like Southampton and we went to Brighton and we even went to Leicester. And we'd lost the game after 5 minutes because we were just physically inferior. It didn't matter if we were better players. We were physically inferior. They'd worked us out and they just hoofed us off the pitch. That ain't happening now. and while I've got it in my head, Fergus, I know I'm drifting a little bit, right, but I've got to get this out while I've got it in my head. I'm telling you now, Arsenal are improving. People are thinking Arsenal are improving. People are starting to watch us now. These pundits and whoever are starting to watch us and think, hang on a minute, Arsenal have got a team here. And I'll tell you why I say that, because Neville and Carragher have started being nice to us. Have you noticed? They've been doing interviews with Arsenal fans, and they've been talking great about our footballers and saying how impressive they are.
And what about your bet as well, Trev?
You what, mate?
What about your bet as well?
Yeah, well, at the start of the season, I piled a load of money on us finishing top 4. I know it ain't going to happen still, I don't think, but I piled a load of money on us finishing top 4. I think I got 13-2, and I'm not going to tell you how much I put on. But this weekend, Bet365 has started offering me a bit of a cash out. Not a lot, but it just goes to show how we're changing. We're coming.
You don't want to say how much it is because you don't want the missus to find out.
Yes, you might be watching. You're not wrong there, Scally. Hey, I've just had a text.
Trev, you need to use earphones.
I've just had a text from my daughter. Lads. She's saying, Dad, calm down. You're going to have an heart attack tonight. Calm down. So I've got to wheel it all in and take a few deep breaths. But no,
you're going to have more than a heart attack when she finds out about this bet, mate.
Yeah. Well, listen,
don't let her find this ticket.
If I want to put my 20 pence on us winning, getting top 4, I'll have me 20 pence. If the missus don't like it, that's down to her. But it's been really interesting so far tonight. I know we've got a little way to go yet, but Mike, I love Mike. Mike's a good mate of mine, and you sort of put me on my backside at the start of the show, Mike. I hadn't even thought about looking at it like that, and I had to stand up for my side, how I viewed it as well. And but it just goes to show there's two ways of looking at things. There's always Mike's way of looking at things, and then there's the right way, my way of looking at things.
Okay.
You sound like my wife.
Still love you, Mike. Still love you.
And this is the thing, innit? We don't ridicule each other for our own opinions, do we?
Yeah.
That's the way it should be.
You know what, Mike? You're bang on. We had Lee and Dan on. It was last Sunday actually, and their opinions are seriously on the verge of hashtag MA out sort of thing. But and they've got good reason and argument to say so. And myself and Trev are definitely more the other way. Not necessarily, blinkered, but we're giving the guy a bit longer. But we had a really good discussion, and everyone had their point of view, but we still met up for a beer, and we still have a chat, and we still shake each other's hands, give each other a hug. That's the idea of sitting down a pub and having a laugh and having a talk about football, and that's the way it should be. I'll ask you one question, guys. What has changed? Personnel, tactics, attitude. What changed? Mike, I'll go to you first.
What do you mean, what changed? In what way?
To see the performance that we've seen with Arsenal against Villa, and you can see the gradual improvement we're getting. Arteta is now on the third longest unbeaten run in the Premier League, behind Liverpool at 18, Man City and 7. We're on 6. So we're making progress in the league, whether we like what progress we're seeing or not. The facts are the facts. What has changed? Is it the change of personnel in the sense that we brought in Tavares and Ben White and the other players that we brought in the transfer window? Is it a tweak in the tactics that Arteta has done? Or is it the attitude of those players, or is it a bit of everything? What do you think?
Well, you see, I don't want to speak too soon on a lot of things regarding this sort of thing. I think like you say, it says there it's like six games where we haven't really been beaten, 6 or 7 games we haven't been beaten. We saw an unbeaten run when Emery was in, didn't we? With that, I think it was 22. Was it 22 games where we had
22 games, yeah,
not losing. So I'm not going to speak out of term on this already. I always like to point out, and I've said this from the start, and I've said it to a lot of people, I just want Arteta to prove me wrong. I'm not going in on Arteta or anything else like that, and I've always maintained it. I'll take every game as every game. I do not compare, from last year in this. I'll take every game as it comes. So, yeah, I'm not going to speak, like I say, I don't want to speak on something like that because I don't really know. I take it as it comes. I'm happy that we're winning. or even drawing the games that these hard fought games that we've been playing so far. I like the fact that we're gritting in and we're digging in. So let's just I'd say like keep the faith in some respect to the fact that we're not losing, but also just keep a level head. Well, yeah, there you go. Kai says it there. Keep the champagne on ice. It's a good way of putting it. I should have thought that myself.
Yeah. Kai's also. Let's not go down that route. I love Kai. He's great. Albert, what's changed? Personnel, tactics, or attitude?
It's a difficult question to answer, but I 100% agree with Scunny in the game in the sense of you take each game as it comes, and I'll tell you why I say that. As much as you can take in isolation the North London derby win, the hard-fought win against Burnley, the great performance against Villa, as an Arsenal fan, you'd be crazy to ignore the performances against Norwich and just some of the performances this season. You can't ignore that. I said at the start of the season, Fergus, what the way I'll judge this Arsenal team and Mikel Arteta is the first 2 to 3 months of the season, because that will set the tone for what Arsenal do this season. So I think the league table is a very, very good reflection of Arsenal. So 1 minute, 12th, 9th, 10th. People will argue, for example, look at the league table today, Arsenal in 9th position, 1 point off top 4. Ferguson, a couple of weeks, that could easily change to Arsenal being 6-7 points off, because that's a reflection of the team. Trev touched on earlier in terms of, or someone did, about the inconsistencies. People said it in the chat, which I understand. And I think that's a true reflection of where the team is at. So unfortunately, we're going to get horror shows of Arsenal, because that's just what we've seen as Arsenal fans for years. We're not going to expect this team, particularly under Mikel Arteta, to go on runs of, 4 or 5 games on the bounce with wins, for example, because how difficult the league is, and just because you can't hang your hat on this team to deliver week in, week out, high octane, high tempo performances. Yes, it's fantastic if we get to see performances like we did against Villa, but I know deep down that's not going to happen. So though Scunny's right, I will take it each game as it comes. So yeah, it's a good question, Fergus. It's a tough one to answer, but I think
you got somebody sitting up above you who's about to explode. You do know that.
No, I'm not. I'm not sure. I'm not
so
sure.
The league table, so the league table, it will fluctuate. Like I said, I'll judge it on how Arsenal do the first few months of the season.
I agree.
It will set the tone for the season.
Yeah.
Trev,
Fergus, the boys are right. Fergus, I've got to come in here. The boys are dead right, because not a lot has changed at the moment. You still don't know. We still don't know what Arsenal team's going to turn up against Leicester next weekend. We don't know. We don't know whether we're going to turn. If the team that played against Villa turns up, or played against Tottenham turns up, we'll beat Leicester. We'll beat them comfortably. But if the team turns up that played against Palace for the last 70 minutes of the game, we'll probably get turned over. So the only thing that's different is that we're not losing games when we're playing badly. And in previous seasons, maybe, I know we've spoken about Emery's unbeaten run, but beyond that, in recently, if we at Brighton, we struggled. We really struggled at Brighton. I think the weather was a massive influence at Brighton. And we struggled. But the difference for me was that I thought we were going to nick a 1-0 at Brighton. I watched the last 10 minutes of the game and I thought, we're going to nick a 1-0 here. It could really happen. Back to the same old Arsenal. Soak it up, break up the field and score. And we nearly did. So that is the only difference for me, in that I'm not thinking we're going to lose when we're playing poorly. But you don't know what Arsenal's going to turn up. You can't have any confidence. Like Liverpool can go out there next week and think, yeah, we're going to play really well. Regardless of who we play, we're going to play really well. We can't. We're not, we can't be sure. Let's get up to Christmas and get through Christmas. And then, I've said it before, I think a couple of times, Fergus, after Christmas, it becomes really important, because we go into the January transfer window. But even more important, we start playing Man City and Chelsea again. Teams that have turned us over earlier this season, and we can start drawing comparisons, really firm comparisons on how we've progressed over half a season. We can really look at that closely. So I want to get up to Christmas, see us in the top half a dozen at Christmas at least, and then I want to get that out of the way with a few good results. And I want to play Man City, and I want to play Chelsea, and I want to see how we do. And hopefully, we'll do really well, and then we'll all be really buzzing and confident of better performances, mate. You know?
Will anybody be there watching Man City 12:30 on New Year's Day? What a bloody, we talked about it before. The fixtures. I'll
be watching on TV.
So, yeah.
I've already put myself through enough by going to City.
Right. Well, yeah. Watching on TV. Who's attending on Tuesday night then? Trevor, I know the journey down on Friday and getting back. What do you say? Got home at 2:30?
Yeah, I got home at 2:30 Friday. I had 2 night games last week. I hate to say it, but I'm giving Tuesday a miss, mate. I should be watching on the telly. There's not many games I missed, but I'm having a night off on Tuesday because we've got a real busy period coming up, and I'm not missing any of those games.
Yeah, I must admit, I gave my season ticket away, the option to buy my seat away for Tuesday night. It's on TV, League Cup as well. The issue with the League Cup thing for me is not necessarily the opposition, because Leeds are a good team and a great historic team and everything else. It's where we are in the corner and around the North Bank, we all stand. But in the League Cup games, it's sit down, and it's a lot of the League Cup fans that stand up every 5 seconds because you hate Tottenham, sit down if you hate Tottenham, turn around if you hate Tottenham. But we're playing Leeds, and I'm fine hating Tottenham, but continually hating them for 90 minutes while I'm playing, while we're playing a different opposition, does get a bit tiresome. Albert, are you going Tuesday night, mate?
I will be there Tuesday. I will be there, Fergus.
Are you going to stand up if you hate Tottenham?
Oh, I know what you mean, Fergus. Sometimes I'm like, really? Come on, man. Like, come up with something different. But I get it. But yeah, I'm with you, Fergus, with that, man. 100%. Need a new song, mate.
If they get battered everywhere they go, that could work.
We've got them January. Listen, save the songs for them, man. We've got them in January next year.
Yeah.
Save it for them.
What's your expectations then for Tuesday night? Leeds. I think Leeds would be well up for it. Leeds would love a cup run. But I do think that Arsenal need to put a strong side out, and we do need to focus on this competition because we could have a cup in the bag by February if Man City don't get to Wembley.
Yeah, I would love a cup run in this particular competition because, well, I'm lucky enough to be alive to have seen the last win in '93. But I expect Martinelli to get a game for once, hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah, I still baffled by that, but yeah, the likes of the fringe players, Fergus. So Martinelli, Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I'd expect them to come in. I think they'll be a pretty decent, strong team. You know, I was surprised even in the round before. Against AFC Wimbledon, I thought it was a strong enough team.
It was very strong considering the opposition.
Yeah. So I'd expect the same, but like I said, I expect the likes of. Yeah, it'd be nice to see Martinelli get a game. To be fair, because he can't be surely nursed himself back through the injury. That's like, come on, he's got to get a game this time. But you'll probably see the likes of Kolasinac that someone's dropped in the chat. But yeah, listen, let's see some of these fringe players actually put a stamp on a marker to give the manager a headache, because that's what you want with these type of games. And hopefully we'll see it on Tuesday, mate.
Scunny, Sky Sports for you, or whatever channel you watch it on.
I can't get down there, mate, so that's definitely a thingy one, and I agree with it. And how long have I been an advocate for saying about these Tottenham songs in games that we're not playing Tottenham?
How long have I been saying it?
Ever since we was on the buddy, it was before we started doing video.
Yeah,
video things. I've been saying it for that long about saying, like, look, when you're on the concourse at half time, by all means, it's a good way of getting songs up and getting momentum up in the fans and everything else. By all means, do it. But doing it in the stands when you're playing Leeds or Villa or something like that, what's the point? Seriously, you're not playing.
True.
It.
I don't get it.
I allow it. I allow it once when they all go stand up if you hate Tottenham. We're standing anyway. It doesn't matter. I'll stay standing.
I'm already stood up, so yeah, fair enough.
I then ignore it because I think it's a bit of banter against our rivals and everything else. But yeah, Trev, what are you hoping for Tuesday night then, mate? Clearly we want to get through to the next round and have Carlisle away.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a. I have a little bit of a bee in my bonnet about Arteta and the Cups last season, don't I? I think he disrespected them, in particularly the FA Cup, when we sent that terrible side to Southampton and got turned over. There's no excuse for it this year. We've got no Europe. We want to be trying to win every cup we possibly can. Bearing in mind we've got an international break coming up the week after next, so we've only got Wednesday, is it? We've only got Leeds on Tuesday. Then we've got Leicester on the Saturday. Then we've got a week off, haven't we? I think so. There's no reason.
No, we got Watford November the 5th or something like that.
Is it after that?
7th, yeah. It's a Sunday game, isn't it, Watford?
I want to see him put 22nd. Where are we? I want to see nothing on side out as possible. To be honest with you, Fergus, I really do. Yeah. Oh, sorry. We've got Leicester, then we've got Watford, then we've got a week off. After Watford, we have a week off.
Yeah.
So we're not overflowing with fixtures. Go out in a Carabao Cup and put a strong side out, and let's beat Leeds, and let's try and win a cup competition. And when the FA Cup comes around in January, let's do exactly the same. You know, we need to be trying to win these cups, and we've got no excuse not to put our strongest side out. You know, so I'm hoping we go strong and we beat Leeds and we get a good draw in the next round, hopefully an away draw, so I can get my European tour back on and enjoy me football. But no, please don't disrespect these cups. Don't disrespect them. We want to be trying to win them.
Albert, you mentioned fringe players. Is Leno a fringe player?
Cool. Yeah, he is. 100%. Ramsdale's got that shirt nailed on me. 100%.
Brilliant. On talking about players, there was a talk about Arteta is not going to stand in the way of Lacazette. He's going to let him stay there till the end of the season and leave on a free. The guy could easily walk away or sign a pre-contract in January with another club. Would you give him another year, Albert?
I think Fergus is a good question. I think this is the problem we have as fans sometimes. When a player has a good game, decent game, the contract talk normally comes up. I personally, I would have sold him at the time when the links with Roma. I think it was beginning of last season, before the start of last season. I think it was. I would have took the money and ran. I'm not going to change my mind because he's had a good game against Villa. We tend to have a danger of doing that sometimes as fans, where, you know, if it's a sustained performances that have been of quality, then it's a different conversation. But I can't talk about contract offers off the basis of one game. I just cannot do that. I can't entertain that kind of conversation. So, me personally, I personally wouldn't keep him.
Mike, would it stand in the way of Martinelli, Balogun, etc.? Would you keep two aging strikers?
No.
Not that I'm leading you anywhere.
I wouldn't. I was quite an advocate for when it was time Aubameyang was going to go. You know, I was quite an advocate saying we should let him go and start fresh with someone new. I think, in fairness, ever since then, he hasn't been the striker we knew. You know, he's very rarely getting 15 goals a season. And it's only been one season since he signed, but he rarely got anything last season. He's not really doing what he's meant to be doing this season so far. But no, I think with Lacazette, I agree with Albert. You know, one game, really, contract talks. Nah, come on. Yeah, sometimes it's nice to be nostalgic for certain players, but sometimes you just got to think, nah, time's time. Let's move on to the next. You know, we've been an advocate. We've all been saying about these young players all the way through this show about young players and everything else. Isn't it about time we maybe got a decent young striker? You know, and for Balogun and Martinelli, I don't think Martinelli's a striker. I don't think he's going to be, you know, that striker. I think he's more of a winger than a striker. Balogun, he needs a loan. You know, he needs something. He needs to get used to it. This league, I think he maybe should go to a one of the bottom sides in the Premiership, or even one of the top sides in the Championship, to try and get some decent game time and bulk himself up and getting used to these types of games. Because I just don't think he's gonna. It's only going to benefit us and him at the same time. So it makes more sense to send him out on loan. So I think it's time now that we do need to sign a striker at the Christmas time, in the January transfer window, or even in the summer.
Yeah. Trev, finally on that, put your tuppence in about the Lacazette bit, but Rafa Benitez, Buendia, Max Aarons, players and managers that all have been linked with Arsenal in the windows. Rafa Benitez got absolutely smashed by Dilly Tinkerman for Watford at the weekend. Max Aarons looked pretty poor against Chelsea when they got smashed 7-0. Buendia didn't look much better for Villa. I don't know what the point of I don't know what the point of my question is. I suppose the point of my question is, there's so much talk among social media and fans about, we need to get Conte, Rafa, various managers in. We need this player, that player. Do we need to, for the want of a better phrase, and it is a phrase that will get people wound up, trust the process, trust the management, trust what's behind the scenes at Arsenal? And it's not the Arteta thing, Mike, before you fall asleep.
Well, Fergus, we will have already tapped up. If we're going to sign a striker in January, we'll already have it in mind who we're getting. There will already have been some chasing being done. So, and whether we sell Laka or not depends on that. We don't know who we're chasing. And if Arsenal haven't got anyone lined up that's going to be half decent, then they'll keep Laka. They'll keep Laka till the end of the season. So you don't know what's going on behind. I'll be very, very surprised if we don't sign a striker in January. Very, very surprised indeed.
I'd be surprised if we do sign a striker in January. I can see us getting a striker in the summer, but not in January.
Yeah, I was
guys,
the same. It's going to be more of a summer transfer rather than a winter one, I think.
Probably. The talk will start in January, but yeah. Listen, guys, it's been absolutely brilliant. Really enjoyed having you on, Albert. Albert, please tell everyone where they can find you. You've got your own channel. You're doing stuff for League Judges TV. So tell everyone where it is.
Yeah, I'm about everywhere. Fergus, thanks for having me on again, mate. It's good to be back in the comfort of my comfortable sofa with you guys, man. So thanks for having me on. Yeah, Albert JTV. Come and check me out, people. Arsenal content, some other content as well, a bit different, but I like to keep it a bit original sometimes.
Scunny, you're here. You're Antipodean sometimes as well. Australian.
I'm wherever. If you see me pop up, that's when you'll see me pop up. That's it for me. If I get asked to do something most of the time, I say, yeah, go on then, why not? So you'll see me on there.
And if you're one of the lucky few, you sometimes can get to see his hair. But it's a very rare thing.
Look, at the end of the day, it's a Sunday. I'm not getting dressed up for a podcast. Hat's going on.
Trev, it's Hillsy time. Go on. You got 16, 17 minutes, I expect.
So, listen, I can't butt in because I don't know what's going on here, but you three are frozen on the screen. So I don't know what's going on.
Your internet has been pretty crap all night, actually. You've been
Has it really? Yeah.
You're up in the bedroom, mate.
Yeah, I'm banished to the bedroom because if I go downstairs, the puppy chews through my computer lead. So I can't. I've come up here. So no Trev time tonight. Just all I've got to say is let's just hope that the Arsenal we know that can play the football we have been turn up at Leicester at the weekend, because if they do, we're in for an exciting game at Leicester. About time we turn them over there. I know we're going, Fergus. We've been robbed, haven't we, for a bloody hotel? But we'll be there. We'll be cheering our boys on. And oh no, it's not Leicester. It's Leeds, isn't it? The hotel.
Leeds. We got the hotel. Yeah.
Leicester's 12:30. I've got to get up at
separate rooms. I might add separate rooms, please.
Absolutely. I'm not. No way would I sleep in the same room as you, Fergus.
You fart a lot. Hey, listen.
Jesus Christ! This sounds like a bickering old couple, doesn't it? This.
Before you go, we had a chat before we started on about, and we've chipped away a bit social media and fans and so on throughout how many episodes, but particularly tonight as well. And you and I, you in particular, are not a fan of AFTV in particular. And Ty, a couple of incidents have happened to him. I'd like you to share what you said to us beforehand and go from there.
Yeah, well, it's quite simple, Fergus. I'm not a fan of Arsenal TV, but you don't hear me run them down. You don't hear me call them. I just don't watch it, you know. And I'm friends with some of the people that go on AFTV. I class them as good friends, actually. But I'm not. I don't like the content very much, so I don't watch it. But that does not give me or anyone else the right to abuse and bully any of their people, especially one of their people that you assume is an easy target. I've watched what's going on social media with these attacks on Ty. You know, I don't know Ty. I've never spoken to him, but he doesn't deserve what's happening. And you know, this 60-year-old or this 59-year-old bloke, I'm putting it out there now. And if Ty happens to watch this, mate, I've got your back. Because I don't like bullies. There's no need for it. Just if you don't like what they do, leave them be. Don't go shouting at them and trying to embarrass them. Because at the end of the day, all you're doing is embarrassing yourself and showing yourself up to be a bully. And me and lots of other Arsenal fans, regardless of our views on anyone on social media, we won't stand for bullies. So if I see anyone picking on Ty, I've got your back, son, regardless. And all the best from me.
Well said, Trev. Anybody want to add anything? Albert, I know you mentioned something.
Yeah, agree with Trev. Like I said, I know. Listen, I don't agree with everything that comes out of people's mouth in terms of YouTube content creators or fan channels or whatever. Like Trev said, I get on very well with a lot of people that will go on FTV. But someone made a good point, and the irony of it really is people talk about clicks and you're doing it for clout and whatever. But the people that are doing that, one of the videos I saw, I'm thinking, but you're doing exactly the same thing that you're criticizing AFTV for. So what does that make you? Like, it's so hypocritical. It's crazy. So that's what I have to say on that. It's not acceptable, man. Like, come on, like you have your passion for art. You want to go and watch football. If you want to go and speak to some of the lads that come from that channel, then go and speak to them and have a conversation about football. It's not a problem. But that's not what we've been seeing for some of the videos that have been circulated. It's appalling. I wouldn't want to go to a game just because I go and give my opinion on the fan channel that someone thinks it's free reign to come and, you know, physically intimidate me. You must be out of your mind. I'm not going to stand for that.
No, totally agree. Mike, anything to add on it?
I am. If I'm being honest, I haven't seen anything about it, to be perfectly honest with you. So I can't comment.
Apparently, there's
to Ty or anything like that, but I'm sure I'll watch it, Fergus, at some point. Something like that. You know, I'll probably see it somewhere. So I can't really comment on anything like that. But I do agree with the guys. You know, bullying. You know, it's not a great tactic, is it? Let's face it. You know, you're not at school. You know, you're grown ass men.
Yeah.
Act like it. It's as simple as that. You know, stop taking it out on these people. If you don't like it, don't watch it. If you think this, you think that, keep it to yourself or talk to your mates about it. I don't know, do something like that. But there's no need to take things out on people. There's no need to shout and swear at people. There's no need to go on social media and, like Albert was saying, doing exactly the same thing that these guys do just to get clicks or whatever else. You know, there's no need for it. At the end of the day, these people are grown-ups, Fergus. Let's face it, you know, you're a grown person and you're acting like a kid. You know, you're acting like school kids. There's no need for it. So, you know, think about what you're doing and stop embarrassing yourself.
We started this show by saying that at the very beginning we do this because we like having a chat and everything else, and that it's not for clicks, likes, money or anything like that. It's because we enjoy sitting here having a chat, and an hour and 18 minutes have gone. It feels like about 20 minutes. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, guys. Really enjoy having you on. Trevor, before you have your last word, because you always do, I just got to cheer things up by going...
Listen, Fergus, my internet is that crap. I haven't got a clue what I just done then. I didn't see a thing. You're all frozen on the screen. So I'm basically talking to myself.
Oh, it's gone off. I'm bumping my head. I'm like, yay.
I'm just saying, just love the Arsenal, boys. Just love the Arsenal as much as I do, and enjoy it when we're good, and hope for the best when we're average. And remember, we're going to improve. We've got to improve with these young players. They're too young not to get better. So just enjoy it. And remember, don't be a bully. It's not big and it ain't clever. And Trevor don't like
You've been listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons and Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too.